Hey guys, it's me Tantacles. I am doing a Chrono Cross tier list. This tier list is going to be for casual gameplay only, so if you're min-maxing characters, if you're speedrunning, this tier list probably isn't going to tell you what you need to know. But if you're trying to just play through the game and have strong characters that are going to make the game actually achievable for you, this is the tier list for you. I will be using a standard SABCD tier list format. Let me just explain what all of the different tiers are going to mean in this video. The characters in Chrono Cross can sometimes be difficult to differentiate because they can all use the same elements. So the things that are different are the things that we're going to be focusing on. So the big things that I'm going to be focusing on are, number one, their element grid. The element grid positions do make a big difference in terms of what kinds of elements you can use, as does color. So those two things are going to be going into my ratings in terms of elements. The second thing that's going to be really important is techs. So the techs are fixed for each character and are always different. Every character has different techs. Some of them are better than others. For example, Surge has amazing techs, as does Lynx, that really can change the game in an awesome way and make it a lot easier for you. One of the big things that's going to go into this run is also the speed stat. So the speed stat determines how much stamina you get compared to other characters. Characters with a lower speed stat will not get as much stamina, and characters with a higher speed stat, for every one stamina used, will gain extra stamina. The other thing that we're going to talk about is just general stat allocation and how it helps characters to grow. There are some characters who just have amazing growths in certain stats that make them do a really great job in the end game. Although, granted, if you kit people right, really anyone can do well no matter what their stat allocation, and the speed stat is the immutable thing that can make them better. So bear with me, this is a personal tier list, and a lot of it is going to be biased based on who I use. So we're going to start first with Doc. The White-Innate overall is very useful because you can use spells like Ultra Nova, which are very powerful. However, the problem with that is that you have Surge in your party in the end game. What that means is that he can already use all the spells, and he generally has a higher magic stat than most of the other White Innate characters. So to be a White Innate character in the top tier, you have to be pretty amazing. Now, Doc, let me just quickly look up Doc's speed stat. Doc has a speed stat of 10. What that means is that he's going to recover 1 stamina for every 1 stamina that's used, so pretty mediocre overall. He's going to be put into the B tier. So he's somewhat useful, but doesn't really have anything special that helps him stand out, and because he's the white element, he really doesn't stand out that much. I think most characters on this list are honestly going to end up in the B tier, unfortunately. The next character is Draggy. Red innate character. Draggy's speed stat is 13, which is pretty great. I actually have used Draggy a lot in my runs. I just didn't really pay attention to his stats, unfortunately. But now that I know that his speed stat is 13, I actually have to put Draggy in the A tier. I don't think that he has a ton to differentiate himself from anybody else. However, I do think that his speed stat makes a big difference. The biggest problem with Draggy, unfortunately, is his availability. So you have to go back to Fort Dragonia to get Draggy if you want to use him. And that really cramps your style. You have to go back there as Lynx. And so you can either do that with the Dragon tier, which means that you can open up Fort Dragonia completely without doing anything, or you can go back there right away if you want to do all the puzzles of Fort Dragonia a second time, which actually isn't a terrible thing to do because all the level 5 elements, that's a lie. It isn't a terrible thing to do because all the level 6 elements are represented in Fort Dragonia, so you can get a lot of great elements that you can use very quickly, which I really like. So often I end up going back there if I'm doing a casual playthrough. But I think most people wait until they get the Dragon tier to go back, which means you miss out on a ton of availability for Draggy. Not so fun. Next character is Fargo. Fargo, for me, in a general casual playthrough, 100% S tier. Now, the reason that Fargo is there is his tech. So that pilfer tech that you get with Fargo in the middle of the game, he's the only one who can use Pilfer when you're Lynx. Pilfer is an amazing skill. It lets you steal items from enemies. You have to fight all of the dragons. And so if you fight them as Lynx, You want to have Fargo in your party because you can steal the elemental plates from them, and the elemental plates allow you to absorb elemental damage, which can make certain fights, like the fight with Dario, a lot easier. Absolutely S tier for me. I'm doing a playthrough right now where I try not to use characters that I use all the time, and Fargo is one of those people that I always use, and I'm going to have a lot of trouble not putting it in my party. Fun Guy. So Fun Guy has 11 stamina recovery. He's yellow. He doesn't really have a ton that makes him stand out. So I'm going to end up putting him in the B tier. We're going to go fast through the people that don't really stand out at all. Glenn. Okay, so Glenn is really interesting. I'm going to put Glenn in the S tier. Here's why. Glenn gets the double Einlanzer, gives him amazing physical attack. He's also a green unit, so synergizes well with Surge, and also has the double tech X-Strike with Surge. So it gives Surge another element that he can use along with Glenn to kill things. And of course, that is great. Very strong tech as well. At the end of the game, physical tends to overpower magical. So giving him the double Einlanzer and taking him to town on the last few bosses really can speed up your game, can get you through those bosses lickety-split. He's a great character. I don't always use him because I don't always have him. But if you have a chance to use him, I think he is fantastic. Graco. I am going to put Graco into the C tier. His stamina recovery is 9. He doesn't really have anything special to help him stand out. Sorry, Graco. I really never use him. I don't think he's that good. Grobik. Grobik has 10 stamina recovery. He's sort of an average character that doesn't stand out very much. He does have a double tech, I believe, with Norris. I don't really use him that much. I think he's in the B tier. There's not really that much special about him. Guile. Guile is awesome. The main great thing about Guile is his element grid. The unfortunate thing about Guile is that his stamina recovery sucks. It's 8. However, his magic stat is poppin'. His elements fans out to the end, so he has a ton of high-level elements and fewer smaller-level elements, so you can really gear him very well element-wise. As a black character, he covers Surge's weakness really well, so I'm going to put him in the A tier. His stamina recovery really keeps him from being in the S tier, but he's in the A tier. That's where I'm putting him. Harl is a black innate character. Black innate characters, of course, are very useful with Surge, although you can only really use Harl when you have links. Stamina recovery is 11. The biggest problem with Harl is just her availability, and so she loses a lot of points because of that, because if you're going to level her up, you're going to lose all of her stats anyway, so I'm going to end up putting her in the B tier, unfortunately. She would be a really good character if she actually stayed with you. Not going to spoil why, but you'll see she's an awesome character. I use Irene's a lot in my runs. However, I unfortunately don't think that Irene's is that great of a character. I think I'm just biased towards mermaids and the blue element. Her magic is great, her attacks are sort of lackluster, and her availability isn't amazing. So she becomes available when you're links, and then you get to keep her till the end of the game. If her physical attacks were better, I think she'd be A tier, but I think as it stands, I'm going to put her in the B tier. Oh, what was her stamina recovery? Her stamina recovery is 11, so that's good. I don't think it's good enough to get her into A tier, unfortunately. Okay. Janice is one of my favorite characters. In terms of like overall design and style, Janice is S tier for me, 100%. That being said, she has 10 stamina recovery. She doesn't really stand out, although I love the fact that she gets the beta carotene, which is just her unique weapon. She uses a pretty cool weapon. She has the carrot. It's her own special weapon. I love the Grand Slam. Unfortunately, I think she doesn't have that much going for her, so I'm going to put her into the B tier. Karsh. Now, Karsh is one of those characters that actually has a lot going for him. Now, hear me out. His stamina recovery is 9, but he gets Axial Axe. He has a double tech with Zoa. He is all around a pretty cool guy and can actually really support your team quite well, especially with the green element. So I'm going to put him in the A tier. I find Karsh, I think you could put him in the B tier. You could make an argument for that, but his techs are great and he provides a lot of support. Kid. As far as Kid goes, I really want to love Kid. I use Kid in every playthrough. I want her to be S tier, but ultimately she has Pilfer. Fargo has Pilfer at a better time. Kid's availability is piss poor, unfortunately, because of plot points that I will not discuss. So Kid, for me, is going to go into the B tier. I'm sorry. I love Kid. She just isn't that good. Her red pin is an amazing tech, really just slams everything pretty hard. Orcha, I'm going to drop him in the B tier. Nothing, he doesn't really stand out that much. I think his stamina recovery is 10, so nothing special there. Leah, I like Leah a lot. She has a double tech with Draggy that is super cute. Low stamina recovery. I'm going to put her in the B tier. For me, she sort of borders on the C tier. I'm going to have to reorder these in a minute. Right now, these are in no particular order, but I'll get there. Lena. Okay. Again, I have a bias towards the blue element. I use Lena in every playthrough. I love her. She does have an element refresh, which can be helpful, but isn't that helpful. So I'm going to put her, and again, availability suffers because of plot points. I'm going to put her in B tier. Lucia. I should have mentioned Lena's stamina recovery is also good. She has 11. Lucia has 11 stamina recovery. She's black element, covers Surge's weaknesses. She uses the dark. I still don't know what that weapon is, but she's going to go in the B tier. Nothing too special about her. Lynx. I mean, this is basically Surge, but in black form. Absolutely S tier. Feral Cats is an amazing tech. Feral Cats is an amazing tech. Absolute Zero. That's his. Absolute Zero, I believe, is his level 7 tech. Absolutely fantastic is what it is. And I love him. It's a great character. Dash and Slash with Lynx is just as good as Dash and Slash with Surge. And he has great availability. Love him. Matcha. Poor availability. Comes during that side quest and then goes away. 9 stamina. Doesn't really have anything to make her stand out. I'm putting her in the C tier. Okay. Marcy. This is one that I know I'm actually right on. Marcy is a fantastic character. Now, blue element is fantastic. She has access to the Cure All spell. Very useful. She also has good physical strength, relatively, and amazing magic, and of course, 11 stamina recovery. I'm gonna put her in the A tier. She's not S rank. She's not doing anything incredibly special, but I use her in a lot of runs, and I already know that she's going to be higher than Karsh. I think she's higher than Guile. I think she's higher than... I think she's top of A tier. Top of A tier seems right. All right, next is Mel. Mel, just poor availability. That's the thing with Mel. If Mel had better availability, I think she might be higher up. She uses a boomerang. I love the boomerang. I don't think it's that useful. I think I'm going to put Mel... I love the boomerang, but I think it's a bad weapon. I do. I'm gonna put her in C tier. I actually don't. She learns Snatch. It's Snatch? Is that her? That's her steel tech. But you already have other characters who are better who have steel techs, so not for me. I think I often use her because I love double snatch, but I just don't think she's that useful. And in fact, having double snatch, if you're gonna use it, makes it harder to steal from 2 enemies at once if you want to steal from 2 enemies at once. So I think she's in the C tier. Mickey. Mickey has okay availability and has a double tech with Nikki, whom I really like. I think she's B tier. I don't think there's anything too special about her. So I'm going to drop her in the B tier. We'll reorder the B tier in a while because we have to. Mojo. Okay, what's really cool about Mojo is evasion. But I think a lot of the enemies use really powerful elements, which are harder to evade, maybe impossible to evade. I could just be totally wrong about that. And his offensive stats are actually pretty sucky. So I'm actually, and his availability is good, not amazing, because he's one of the early characters. I'm going to put him into B tier. No, I'm like between B and C tier for him. I'm going to put him at the top of C tier. That's what I'm going to do for now. Neofeo. Neofeo is a pretty average green character. Now, the problem with Neofeo is there are just so many other green characters to compete with that I think I have to put Neofeo in the B tier. Nikki. Nikki is B tier. Nothing too special about him. What's his stamina recovery? I don't even remember. I think he's 1. Oh, no, he's 9? Yeah, Nikki sort of loses there for me. I'm putting him at the top of C tier. That seems cruel, but I just don't think he's that useful. And at the beginning of the game, his physical attacks sort of suck. Yeah, I'm doing that. Okay, Norris. Norris is solidly in the B tier as well. I think he's a good character. He has good stamina recovery at 11. I think he just doesn't offer anything too special. So he's gonna be somewhere higher in the B tier if I do find him useful. Oh dear, Orcha. So Orcha has bad stamina recovery. His availability isn't amazing. I don't think he has anything special tech-wise. I'm actually going to put Orcha in the D tier. And actually, I'm going to move Graco down to the D tier. I don't think Orcha has anything special. I could eliminate the D tier, but I don't want to. Okay. Orla. Orla, I'm going to say... Let's see. Orla has 11 stamina recovery. She's blue, so she gets Cure All. She gets some good techs. In terms of an enemy, you can learn blue techs. In terms of an enemy, you can trap blue elements from her, which I love. That's one of my favorite things, is being able to trap enemies or trap elements. I'm gonna put her in the B tier. I think she's good. She uses a glove. Glove is a good weapon. I think she's solidly in the B tier. Pierre's a hard one because I never ever choose Pierre in my playthroughs. So I'm gonna let me quickly look at my let me look at my listy here. Where'd I go? Pierre has 12. Okay, Pierre has 12 stamina recovery. He gets like the hero stuff, but on a casual playthrough, you may not even find it because it's actually not incredibly intuitive where everything is. I'm gonna put him in the B tier. He's B tier for me. Pip. Okay. I think that Pip can be amazing. Pip's mechanic is cool. I love the idea of a transforming character that can do multiple different things. However, Pip suffers because his availability is so bad that you can't actually transform him the way that you want to. So usually when I play Pip, I start him on the pirate ship, I put him in my party immediately, and then he usually evolves by the end of the ship. He usually evolves at the end of the battle on the pirate ship because he gets hit by so many black elements, by the big demon zombie thing. I don't even remember what it's called, but the black elemental thing. But then he goes away and he just becomes a lot less viable because you can't transform him as easily. That's a problem for me. So I'm going to put him in the D tier. I think his availability actually makes him bad. Pashal's okay. I think just Pashal doesn't have a ton going for them. Stamina recovery is low. Offensive stats tend to be sort of underwhelming. I think physical is better than magical, which of course at the end of the game is good. But I think Pashal's going to go in the C tier for me. I just, near the end of the game, Pashal really falls off because you lose Pashal at a certain point. So it's just not that great. Radius. So Radius has good availability once Lynx becomes a playable character, and has sort of middling stats. Unfortunately has 9 stamina recovery, so I think that sort of places him solidly in the B tier. I love Razzley. I have trouble with Razzley because I never end up getting her level 7 tech, but her level 3 tech alone just absolutely slaps and is fantastic. Very useful in the Hydra, even though you don't want to use her in the Hydra for plot points that I will not tell you. If you're going to use Razzley, don't use her in the Hydra fight. Sucks, but that's how it is. So I'm going to put her solidly in the A tier. I think she'd be higher up in the A tier if... She'll probably go there. She'd be higher up in the A tier if you could use her in the Hydra fight and not nerf her. But if you use her in the Hydra fight, you are nerfing her potential, which sort of sucks. Riddell. Riddell's a hard one for me. So she's white. Actually, no. You know what? Riddell is not a hard one for me. Riddell is a white element, which means she's redundant with Surge. She has an element refresh. She has a very high magic stat. Of course, elements fall off in the late game, so that's a problem. I'm gonna put her in the B tier, higher up in the B tier because she has good availability. Surge. I mean, S tier. They've made the main character the best character in the game. That's important. Luminaire, fantastic tech. I forget what his level 7 tech is, but that slaps too. Love it. All right, so now Skelly. Keep in mind, this is for casual playthrough. If you're a casual player, it's going to be hard to get Skelly just in general because there are so many pieces of him. And that's a little bit of a spoiler for Skelly's story, I guess. But I am going to put Skelly in the C tier for that reason. Maybe even the D tier. Availability is just hard for him. It's hard to get him. Snef, I'm going to put in the B tier. I think Snef has pretty good stats. What is Snef's stamina recovery? That's what I need to find out. I don't remember. I think it's 9. So yeah, he's like solidly in the B tier. If he had higher stamina recovery, he could be higher. He has a double tech with Guile, whom I of course love. Unfortunately, his stamina recovery holds him back, and availability is also a little bit of an issue, but not as much as it is for other characters. So he's solidly in the B tier for me. Sprig. Sprig is a hard character to really quantify. So if you're playing a casual playthrough and you want to do everything, if you want to 100% the game, Sprig is essential because you need to get extra things for her to mimic. She can also give you access to a triple tech, to the, is it Z slash? Z slash, because X slash is Surge and Glenn. Z slash, I think, is Surge, Lena, and Sprig, if you have her as a certain person that I can't tell you about because spoilers. So I'm going to say Sprig. I am going to say Sprig is solidly in the B tier overall, sort of higher up in the B tier. You have to use her at a certain point, and she does well. I just think that she really falls off once you get your stats up with other people because her element grid is so crappy, and you just want to start hitting and not have to transform with her to make anything happen. Starkey's white, that's what holds him back, but he does have great techs, he has good stats. I'm going to put Starkey solidly in the B tier. Starkey's good. Stina, again, solidly in the B tier. She's white element, that's an issue. Turnip, I'm going to say B tier. Annoying availability because you have to do like the ice side quest and you can't actually get him until you have Poshel in Homeworld, so I don't love that. Availability's bad, but I mean, he's a solid character. It's not bad. Van is going to be, I think, in B tier. Has a boomerang. Does things that aren't that interesting. So the B tier, probably near the lower end of B tier. I think he just doesn't do enough. Viper. I mean, Viper has a double tech. How is stamina? Viper's yellow element, which isn't my favorite element to use in the game. 9 stamina recovery. Near the lower end of B tier. Zappa. Okay, so you want to get Zappa for his utility in the game, but overall, Zappa's stamina recovery bites a big one. So I'm actually going to put him in D tier. I find him hard to use. I'm trying to use him on my current casual playthrough. It's just hard, man. He just does not do enough things well to be really useful. So I don't love it. The final character on this list is Zoa. Stamina recovery for Zoa is 8. I'm going to put Zoa in... Oh. I think B tier, like mid B tier somewhere. He has good strength. Again, physical attack's great in the end game. Just stamina recovery really holds him back. Let's reorder these. So in S tier, maybe we'll change some people up a little bit too. Surge and Lynx are at the top of S tier. S tier. Surge and Lynx are at the top of S tier. Let's see. Marcy, Draggy, Guile, Razzley, Karsh. Marcy is at the top of A tier for me. I think Razzley is up there too. Good stamina recovery, great magic stat. Draggy and Guile. I think that's the right order for those two. I think Guile is going to go before Draggy, I think. Karsh. I'm going to move Karsh to the top of B tier. I actually think that's where he belongs. And now this is a mess. So... I'm going to put Kid at the top of B tier because of early steals for utility and great stamina recovery. I'm going to put... Who goes next? I think just for overall uniqueness, Riddell is very defense-oriented, which a lot of characters don't have. I don't love that, and it makes her a little bit more difficult. That makes her a little bit more difficult to work with in an overall team, but I think that's where she belongs. I think I have to move him down somewhere. A lot of these are just like a hodgepodge, and I don't know where to put them. I actually think Janice is very strong. I'm going to put her there. Lena, very useful, especially in early game. I'm going to put her above Janice. Mickey. I don't know that I even really need to look at all of these characters. I think Irene's is up there with Lena somewhere. Like there-ish. I think she's very useful for magic. I guess maybe the better question to ask is who belongs at the bottom of B tier? Bottom of B tier for me is... Oh god, this is hard. I think bottom of B tier for me is Neofio and Turnip. And that's solely because there are so many other fantastic green characters that it's hard for them to compete. Similarly, I think Radius is good, but I'm going to put him just above those two because he has better availability. Sprig, I actually think I'm going to put higher. I'm going to put Sprig above Lena because she can help you just... Actually, above Riddell, too. She can just help you blaze through a ton of the game. I'm actually going to put Kid a little lower because of her poor availability. I'm also going to move Karsh. I actually think Karsh is not as good as those other characters on reinspection. I think I'm okay with this list. I'm going to put you down there. I actually think you probably belong lower than Radius. I think the black characters in general, I'm going to put a little bit higher. So, no, Har's availability is bad. I'm going to put her down here somewhere. Like, just based on element color, I think this is where people need to be. I do think Starkey has a ton of use because you get him when you have links. And so he can really support links quite well, and his stats are good, and he does a great job. What is Starkey's stamina recovery? Starkey is... Ooh, hard to find. Starkey is 11. Yeah, I'm going to put Starkey there. I think Lucia is going to be a little bit lower on the list. I think Grobik's going to be a little lower on the list. I think that Norris is quite useful. Put him above Lucia, definitely. And above Fungi. I don't know who's better. And then... I actually think because of his stamina recovery, I need to put Pierre higher, maybe near Irene's. I don't use him that much, but his stats tell a story that he should be used. I think I'm okay with that order. I don't think it's perfect. I think there are just too many characters there, and a lot of them don't really have a lot going for them. And just belong sort of generally in the B tier without any kind of change needed. All right, C tier. We have... I'm going to put... I'm going to put Mojo at the top of C tier. Not because he's better than Nikki necessarily, but because he actually has a unique niche. Nikki does not. Nikki is just a standard blue character that has a double tech with Mickey, but otherwise isn't that special and has poor physical attacks. I think that's okay. Someone's going to fight me on this. This D tier is going to be hotly contested, I'm sure. I am going to put Pip higher in the D tier. The reason is just, I believe Pip's stamina recovery is better than the others in there. Oh, I guess it's the same as Skelly. But I think Orcha, Zappa, and Graco are like the red mediocrity squad. So many great red characters in this game, and yet they put those in this game just to sort of wallow in mediocrity. It's very sad. I think I'm happy with this tier list. So that's how it's going to stay. That is my Chrono Cross casual playthrough tier list. Thank you all for watching. This has been Tantacles. I'm excited that I could bring you this tier list for Chrono Cross, one of my favorite games of all time. If you like this content, please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me I'm wrong. Fight me. I love it. I will fight back, or I'll tell you you're right. I'm kind of a pushover in that way. Either way, thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye-bye.